Hello, welcome to the show. Oh, the new sofa bed has arrived and I'm sitting on it. How fabulous is this? Do you know, I feel so relaxed now. I mean, that big black chair, I used to have a big black chair here in the studio, in the new, which I sort of borrowed from the Mirable studio into the Britannia studio. I've decided to call it the Britannia studio. I quite like that, don't you? All things British, especially me and my plants and my new sofa bed. Yeah, I had a big black kind of office chair in here, which I've still got. It's in the Mirable studio where I do all the editing to the show and all that. But it just didn't feel right in here in a new set. It really didn't. So I now have a sofa and I am so comfortable. I mean, I might even fall asleep while I'm sitting here chatting away to you today. It might happen. Yes, the new sofa bed has arrived and very good service. I told you that, didn't I? John Lewis. I buy all my large items now from either John Lewis or Bentles, where John Lewis isn't here in Bracknell, that's in Reading. But we do have a Bentles here, and their service is very good as well. Department stores is where you want to be buying your stuff from if you want good service. I mean, it really is. Now, they gave me a time of delivering between 7 a.m. and 1 p.m, right? At 9:30, the phone rang, right? Oh, hello there, Mr. Reardon. It's John Lewis, the delivery people here. We should be with you in about half an hour. Is that okay? Thank you very much. My God, half hour, well, 20 minutes later, they appeared, knocked on the door. Hello, Mr. Reardon, John Lewis. We've got your sofa bed. Where would you like it, please, sir? Marvellous. I said, are you able to carry it up the stairs? No problem at all, sir. 2 men came in, neatly dressed. I know I've said this before. I know I said this before, but I want you to share the happy parts of my life, and God knows there's so few of them. There really is, and this made me happy. It was just so nice, and the 2 men carried it up the stairs. I said, is there anything you want? Do you want a cup of tea? He said, oh, thank you very much, but we've already had one at the last job, so we won't bother you for that. Okay. I said, is there anything you want me to do? He said, if you really want to, you can carry these 2 cushions up. So where's my cushion? Let me just get a cushion. Oh, I love it. Here it is. Oh, I had to carry up 2 cushions, but I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining, boys and girls. And they carried it up the stairs. They asked me to remove the pictures from the wall, which I don't have any expensive pictures in here. I've just got a couple of things on the wall going up the stairs, and the Holy Cross as well, which hangs on the stairs. There's a story behind the cross on the stairs, actually. It's a wooden cross. Do you want to see it? Shall I go and get it for you? Just a minute. Let me go and get my cross for you. I'd have to take my mat. Look at all me. I've got wires everywhere. Wires everywhere. Just a minute. Those of you that are watching the show, of course, if you're listening, don't worry. I'll always describe things. Doesn't matter. You won't miss anything. Just going down the stairs. I'm just going to bring this up here because I have a cross hanging in my going up the stairs. It's wooden, and there's Jesus is on there. I think it's kind of made out of porcelain with some wires. I think it's some sort of I don't know if it might not be porcelain, but whatever it is, it's kind of broken in parts. They clearly made the figure out of wires, right, and then covered it in some sort of I don't know if it's plastic or what it is, but anyway, that's it there, and it's got a little INRI thing at the top there, and it's wooden, as I say. And this cross was my mother's and father's for years and years. And when Dad died, Mum put it on the coffin, on top of the coffin, when we had the church service for my dad's funeral, and then for my mum's funeral, I'm sure I remember this rightly, I'm sure I did, I found this cross in her bedroom or somewhere, and I did exactly the same and put it on her coffin before she was buried, and so now it sits on my wall. I suppose, I was going to say waiting for mine, I suppose, but yeah, why not? Why not? And it's just sits on the wall there. Anyway, so I had to remove. Let me just put that there I never like to put a cross on the floor. There we are. There we go there, won't it? On my glass cabinet. I don't know if you can. Those of you watching the show via YouTube, I don't know if you can actually see the glass cabinet now. We've had to move it a bit further to the side. Anyway, so the blokes came and they. I removed all the 2 pictures and the cross on the wall, and then they carried the thing up the stairs, placed it in position. Bob's your uncle, that's it, took all the rubbish away. Everything all right, sir? Thank you very much, please sign this. Signed a bit of paper, off they went. All done in the space of 5 minutes, I suppose. It's just brilliant, isn't it? Just brilliant. And I don't get any commission, or I'm not being paid to say this. I'm just sharing the experience with you. If you want a job done properly, go to a department store. Go to a department store, you will get the service, you will get a time slot and all this business, something that I'm afraid you just don't get in those chain shops, and you don't. I wish, I'd love to sit here and name them all. I don't dare. Because then they say, oh, you know who I mean. I don't know if it's the same for you in the States, is it, or in Australia. Do you find that if you go to one of those chain stores, they want to deliver tomorrow. No, not tomorrow. Some of the furniture places, my friend Jason in London, and Brighton, he's got 2 places. Oh, yes. Oh, he's got 2 places. He's got a place in London, in Camden Town, and a place in Brighton. I mean, these people are just greedy. That's what it is, greed. Flats all over the place. It's a liberty, that's what it is. Huh? He ordered a bed from a well-known... I think a sofa from one of those chain stores, and I think he had to wait a few weeks. I waited 7 days for this. I ordered it last week, and it came exactly 7 days later. And I tell you what, it's not light. My God, because they kind of left it in the room for me, and then I had to make a few adjustments in here and move it into position. Blimey, this is really heavy. Really heavy. And it wasn't over expensive. £350 this was. I'm very, very pleased with it. And you can't move it, right? Sometimes with chairs, you can like lean back and they'll go, but I can't move this. Look, listen. I cannot move this chair. It's really heavy. So very pleased with that, and I don't think I would have got it up the stairs on my own. So thank you very much, John Lewis. Another job well done. Another satisfied customer. Yes, I will come back and purchase something else soon. I just don't care. I've thrown care to the wind. Hello to you, welcome along. My name's Chris Reardon. This is United Kingdom Talk, our 3 times a week talk show. You can... What's I going to say now? You can email the show. I forgot then. I'm so excited. Everything is changing in here. Everything is changing. It really is. You can email the show. My email address is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. All right? Now, what was I going to say? Something else then? It's completely gone from my mind now. What on earth was I going to say then? Can't remember. Oh, yes, I remember now. Now, if you're listening to the show via a radio station and you're thinking, I'd quite like to see what's going on, then you can do that as well by simply going to the main United Kingdom Talk website, unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. There you will see all the shows, one after the other. Going back to October 2005, we've only been doing the video for about, it must be 18 months now we've been doing the video. Can you believe that? It's 18 months since we started doing the show by video as well. Unbelievable. Anyway, you can go back to any of the old shows and watch or listen to those by going to unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. I'm also aware there are people watching that think, I didn't know you could just listen. Yes, you can. If you're on one of those restricted, restricted downloads or something like that, and you find the video show is eating up quite a lot of your download limit, then why not just listen? Because the podcast versions of the show is only 14 meg. which is much, much smaller. I know that I think Matty in Australia is on a download limit there. You can only download so much per month. Well, you might be better to just listen if you want to, okay? And again, go to the same website, unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk, and you'll find instructions right at the top there on how you can either watch or listen. All right, my loves? Now, talking of people that watch and listen, Tom Harris from TomHarrisUSA.com. He does his own podcast. And last night, which was for me Monday last night, it might not have been Monday for you, but for me, last night was Monday. Tom Harris came down to Belushi's in Hammersmith, where I do the karaoke every Monday night from 9 o'clock. Unless, of course, there is football. In which case we have to wait till after the football, because we did, I have mentioned this before, we did try doing the karaoke at 9 o'clock while halfway through a football match, and there was nearly a riot in there. I don't mind telling you that, okay? So we don't do that anymore. We wait till the football's finished, but usually it definitely always starts before 10 o'clock. But normally, no football means a 9 o'clock start. So we did that last night, and it was lovely to have Tom Harris turn up from the podcast TomHarrisUSA.com. What a nice man. What a very, very nice man. As soon he came in the door and he just stood there in the middle, and I kind of looked across and I immediately recognised him from old Roman coins, okay, where he's appeared on so many times. Old Roman coins, and I think I'm sure it might have been him on a penny black stamp as well. Is that right, Tom? Anyway, he may not actually see this show because he is here for quite a few weeks, travelling all over the place. I think he's going to Newcastle as well. I'm not quite sure what he's doing up there. But he came in and I went straight over to him and welcomed him, shook his hand. The only thing is, of course, when you turn up at one of my karaoke nights, I do try and pop over and have a little bit of a chat kind of in between songs, but it's not like I can sit down and have a chat to people. That's the only thing. You're kind of there, and I have to get on doing the karaoke for the people that have come in to sing, which is rather nice. But nevertheless, very nice to meet him, and he came over with his travelling friend as well. Very, very nice man. What a nice chap. He didn't get drunk. Unlike most of the people in there on a Monday night. They do like a drink on Monday, I've noticed that. They really do. Let me see, who gets drunk usually? Well, there's Pretty Boy Steve. He always gets drunk on a Monday. It was a bit touch and go whether he was going to get there last night, because unfortunately he's been made redundant recently. We hear this going on all the time, don't we? People losing their jobs left, right and centre. I mean, God, sometimes I moan about some of the jobs I do. I mean, I really do. Not so much recently, I suppose, but, you know, I don't think I've ever been bored at doing a karaoke, but sometimes with the DJing jobs, if they're long, then I do get a bit bored and I sit there and moan. But I've never really been short of work. I left school when I was 18, I think. I carried on into the sixth form. I went to the London Oratory School, which is in Fulham. And I wasn't I don't think I was particularly good at school. I didn't have much interest at all in a lot of things, including, believe it or not, music. I got an unclassified for music. I got a C grade, or O level, in English and physics. And really, they're the only qualifications I ever got. So didn't enjoy school. I stayed on an extra year, I think not because I thought I'd qualify, I just wanted to stay at school another year. Because I was scared to go out and start working on all this business. Funny, isn't it? And yet, while I was at school, I got a job, my first job on Saturdays was at Millets, which is a camping and outdoor specialist place in Putney in southwest London. Now, do you know, I'm trying to think how I got that job. I was very nervous at doing sort of things like that. I was a very, very weak character. when I was in my teens and indeed 20s, in my early 20s as well. Very, very weak character. And I think it was my mum that wrote and got me the job in Millets. I'm sure it was. And I just had to turn up to meet the manager. Had a little bit of a chat. I don't actually remember what happened there, but I mean, it must have been all right because I got the job, and I turned up and started working there on Saturdays. And from that first job in Millets when I was 16, so 16, was it 18 or 16? Can't remember. No, I think it was 16. It was 16. Yes, it was 16. So that would be 16, 26. So it's 30 years ago now. 30 years ago. That was my first Saturday job in Millets. From that job, I have never not worked. Lucky? Yes, perhaps. I think some of it is down to luck. While I had that job, about 6 months later, I got another job, which was working Wednesday nights in a supermarket called Bilates. Now, it was a private supermarket. They only had 2 shops at the time, and I think they expanded at some point to just 3. There was one in Putney, which is where I worked, and there was one in Barnes, which is quite a posh area, and there was also one in Clapham. And I worked at the other 2 as well, but like temporarily. But the Putney branch was my main one, and that's where I worked. And so I had a supermarket job on Wednesday nights, and I worked in Millets on Sundays, Saturday, all day Saturday. So I've been very, very busy like that. I think part of it is down to luck, and I also think part of it is the fact that you want to go out and earn your own money. You do. I've been very, very, very lucky. From those 2 jobs, again, I'm sure it was Mum that wrote to British Telecom, and I got a job there as a directory inquiry operator. Then once you were in BT, that's it. You could just transfer everywhere. But I wanted really to be an engineer, but I didn't have the qualifications, so I got in the back door, and I became a British Telecom directory inquiry operator. Then I became a 100 operator. I answered the 100 calls. Right? I didn't progress to 999 because I hated it there. I hated it at the 100. That was at Kingston in Surrey. I absolutely hated that job. So I left there and I went back to directory inquiries, which is in Wimbledon. I carried on there for a while. And then from there, I crossed over to answering 151 telephone calls, which was the engineering section. So you've kind of crossed that barrier now. And while I was there, I mentioned to the boss there that I would actually like to be an engineer. And a little while later, a very, very nice man who was like head of that engineering department at the Mortlake Telephone Exchange called Larry. Lovely man. He came up one day to see me. And he says, Chris. I said, yeah. He said, oh, I'm Larry from the engineering section downstairs. He says, I've been told that you want to come and work in our department downstairs. I said, yeah, I'd really like that. He said, OK. He said, leave it with me. As soon as the space comes up, I'll come up and let you know. He was a lovely, lovely man. Really, really nice man he was. And off he went. And how old was I now? I think I was 21 now, I think. I think I was 21. About 21. Maybe a bit older. Let me think now. No, because I was married when yes. I wasn't married when I went into the engineering. That's when I'd split up. So, no, it must have 18, 19, 21, 21, 22. I was about 23, 24 when he came up to see me. And a few weeks passed. And then I always remember one Thursday, he came up and says, Chris, we've got a bloke leaving tomorrow. He said, do you want to come and start on Monday? I said, oh, that'd be fantastic. And he said, OK, then I'll see you Monday morning, 8 o'clock downstairs. And that was it. Just great. He was such a nice bloke. I'd like to meet him again. I went down and was a telephone engineer. I don't know if I've told you this story before. I might have done. And the job was great. I mean, no 2 ways about it. there were different sorts of telephone engineers at that time, and my job was to look after your telephone and the wires going as far as the top of the telegraph pole. So I would climb up telegraph poles, which was great, fantastic doing that, it really was. And then the wire all the way back from the telephone pole into your telephone in the house, and that's what I did. And I learnt, I was put out with a guy called Mickey Beard, and what they do is they put you with someone for 6 weeks, you watch him working, and then after those 6 weeks you get your tools in your van and off you go. And that's how it worked. And it worked very well. And the funniest thing was, you then, as time progressed, you went on different courses to show you how to do the job that you're already doing. How many of us are in jobs like that, eh? I know some of the people I work with, bars and clubs now, they also do that sort of thing. They work, they kind of become a barman, and they do it, and then all this business, and then they go on courses to show them how to do the job that they're already doing. And I've never quite worked that out. Why not send the person on the course right at the beginning of the job? I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? So I was an engineer for a period of time, and then I got into doing the DJing and all that, and I think I was an engineer for 5 years. I progressed to the position of T1 for a while, which it doesn't mean anything to you. It's like a technician. It's just a position. And then for a while, I actually progressed to the position of senior technician, which is ST. However, that meant leaving your van and going back into an office, and I hated it. Once I'd had the freedom of that van and going out and meeting people, public people, and making them happy for repairing their phones, and then going back indoors and answering the phone, and I absolutely hated that. The money was better. It was much better, actually. But do you know what? I just couldn't hack it. I wanted to go back outside in my van, and that's what I did. There was something happened. I can't remember what happened now, but it involved me having to leave the office, and because you kept your van, okay, you still kept your BT van, even though you were in the office, in case you were called out. And this particular day, a job came in, and I had to go and do it. And I said, look, you know, I'm not happy in here. If I go out in that job, I'm not coming back in again. I want to stay out there. And the governor came and saw me. He said, you sure? I said, yeah, absolutely. I said, I just don't like it in here. I said, I want to go back out in the van, and that's it. And I did. So I went back out in the van for a few years, and then the DJing thing came along, and I got busier and busier with DJing, and eventually I left BT and became kind of a full-time DJ, which is still what I do now. I now do DJing and karaoke for my main jobs. I loved the job at BT, going outside. I would do it again, but of course it's all changed so much, hasn't it? You know, technology has moved on. There's no longer telephones in people's houses with dials on. In actual fact, the wiring, telephone wiring in people's houses now, is actually a lot simpler than it was the years ago when I was working for them. Because now that electrical people will understand this, now telephone systems, basic telephone systems in yours and my house, they're all wired parallel. You know, you got 6 connections on your socket, and all 6 are like just connected together all over the house, and that's the end of it. Now, when I was working, we had systems that some of the wiring was in series. Certainly, the bell circuits in telephones, you had to wire them a specific way, and it got a bit complicated, to be honest. And there was a few times I had trouble fixing the phones, and I had to call out the guy above me because I didn't know what I was doing. I'll be honest, I probably still wouldn't be able to do those old systems now. The new ones are so much easier. And now, of course, you don't repair telephones. No, I mean, some bloke comes, or a lot of the time, no one even comes round to your house. Or they send you a blooming envelope, don't they? They send you an envelope, you put your phone in the envelope, you send that back, and they send you another phone. It's all about saving money, I'm afraid. And but I was there at the better years, absolutely. And, of course, I suppose the blokes before me, before I was there, so we're going back now before 1989, I don't know, 1981. Probably the blokes, around about 1981, probably the blokes before me would tell you that they had a better time than I did. And it is funny, isn't it, as time moves on, if you're a little bit older, you always tend to think that, no, it was better when I was a kid. Do you? Why is that? Why was life better for you when you were a child, do you think? I was watching an interesting programme on the television, I think it was a news item actually, this morning. And it was about, why don't children play out in the streets anymore? Now, I certainly remember when I was a child, I had a few friends where I lived. I lived in Roehampton for most of my childhood life, Peckham before that. And in Peckham and Roehampton, we would literally play out on the streets, on our bikes, playing a football, you know, sitting on the curbside, talking to our friends. And now, that doesn't happen so much, does it? One of the reasons was given was, of course, cars. There are a lot more cars now than there was back in the 70s. And they all drive so fast, don't they? There's a road that comes down before I get to my road. There's like a road comes off the and these cars tear down there. And if you're sticking to the speed limit doing 30 mile an hour, they're right up your behind, flashing lights. And yet there are a lot of children around that area. It's a residential area. And that some of these cars tear down. And of course the worst ones, as I've said before, are mothers going to collect their children from school. They tear down this road. And they shout sometimes at the lollipop lady, get out of the way. These are mothers collecting their children, their little babies from school, and they just don't care. Oh, I've got to get my kids, you know the sort. What's all that about? I'll be late. Yeah, you'll be late and you'll knock someone else's child over. So I come down that road and I do 30 mile an hour, not a single mile over. I make sure I do 30 mile an hour, and if there is a car behind me, flashing or whatever, doesn't bother me. I tilt my mirror so I can't see the lights of the... Seriously, I tilt my mirror so I can't see the lights of the car behind me, and I carry on doing 30 mile an hour because it's wrong, it's nasty. But why was it better when you were kids, eh? When you were a child, why was it better? The other thing on there said, people always seem to be worried about children being abducted. But actually, the figures for abduction are exactly the same as they have been for decades. They haven't gone up. We just know about it a bit more because of news reporting and all that business, don't we? So you know no more chance now of having your children abducted than you were 50 years ago. So I'm really sorry, those of you that have got children that you're trying to get rid of. Don't leave them outside because it's unlikely they'll be stolen. Come on, boys and girls, why was it better when you were a child? Email the show in and let me know. My email address is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Why was it better when you were a child? Did you respect more people? It's another thing. How many times have you heard someone say, oh, they've got no respect? Well, it's not only the children, I'm afraid. I mean, look at that man in the swimming pool I told you about the other day, roughly the same age as me, maybe a little bit younger. No respect for anyone else in the swimming pool, just wanting to get his lengths done, and if anyone else gets in the way, well, whatever. Splash and kicking. Pathetic. No respect whatsoever. I think the worst places for respect of people are internet chat forums. You ever go on some of these internet chat forums, and there's millions of them, covering every subject you could possibly imagine. and sad, lonely people hiding behind their computers, tapping away, making comments on other people's lives, hiding behind a computer. A friend of mine, very big radio person here in the UK, Tommy Boyd, did an entire show about internet forums, and it was the funniest thing ever you've heard. And he absolutely laid into these people who sit there hour after hour, day after day, criticising everyone around them and not giving a thought of to how hurtful their comments may be, and not worrying at all about how the person they're commenting on feels or might be hurt by their writings. And it's all very sad, really, that people are like that. And that is not having respect. And I don't care, you know, people who always bang on about, oh yeah, but it's free speech. Well, there is free speech, yes. But I think there's free speech and there's free speech. There's free speech, what I'm doing now. I would hate to offend anyone. I really would. There are times when perhaps people don't have senses of humour. There is a line between trying to be humorous and trying to be offensive. And I think sometimes, I've come across it myself a few times, where I've said something and someone's completely taken it the wrong way. And I get a bit upset with myself for that. Perhaps something that I might have said off the cuff, and it was supposed to make you laugh or make you think. You know, I could sit here, and then we've got the people said so many times who seek to be offended. They seem to watch and listen to radio and television looking for something to offend them. They're waiting all the time for something to offend them. What's all that about? Why? If I sat here now and did jokes about, let me think, disabled people, you would crucify me, wouldn't you? You wouldn't find it funny. My very, very good friend, my disabled friend, Miss Millie, motorised Millie in Minnesota, she would sit there and laugh because she knows this show. But anyone else would be horrified. Why? Because I'm not disabled. Now, if I was sitting here in a wheelchair and did disabled jokes, you wouldn't say boo to a goose, would you? Similarly, I could sit here and do gay jokes. Being as I get on the other bus, I'm allowed to do that, and you can't say a word. The sort of thing like, how do you get 4 gays on a chair? I'm not going to tell you the answer. You can imagine. Right? You can't say a word because I get on the other bus. But I do think it's a shame when way back in the 70s you would have some great comedians as funny as anything doing these gay jokes and what would now be called as racist jokes. But most of them weren't racist at all. They were just being humorous. Most of them were not homophobic. They just wanted to get you to laugh. And yet people pick at bits, don't they? They pick at bits all the time. I like to think of some good gay jokes and tell you, then you can pass them on to your friends. Trouble is, most of them are filthy. We can't do filth on this programme, no. That's reserved for the Ross Pat Zelt show. It really is. Honestly, passing air on his programme the other day. And he didn't just pass air, did he? He actually moved the microphone near his bottom so you could hear it better. How vile is that? It's disgusting, that's what it is. It really is. So go back to that then, okay? As a child, why was it better for you? What do you miss about your childhood? What do you think you had as a child? And let's go up to the age of 16, okay? So anything from the age of 1 right up to 16, what did you have as a child that children don't have now? Do you think there are things that children do have now, but actually are worse off through having them? How about computer games? How many children do you know that spend hours and hours in front of a little TV screen? Such a waste of a life, isn't it? Or is it? There's some very good educational games out. I never played them or seen them myself, but I know of them. I know some very, very good educational games out. But is that a good idea to learn? Sitting there, I don't know, maybe some sort of money program on your computer where you learn about money? Is it better to learn like that through looking at a television screen? Or would it be better to take that child out to Tesco's with you, as Mum did to me? Did you do that as a child? You went out to the supermarket, your mum and dad's put through all the things, and then it comes to paying for it, and Mum gives you the money. There you go and pay for that. And you had to give them the money and get the change and check that they'd given you the right change back. Did you do that? Come on, that's a lot different to sitting there in front of a computer screen. I don't think I had been very good at school now at all. You see, I had problems learning from books. I could read, I just couldn't learn from a book. And this is going back to my job at British Telecom. If I'd have gone into that engineering section and they said, yeah, you've got to read those 2 books, I wouldn't have had a clue. Wouldn't have had a clue. But they don't. They put you with someone and you go out and do practical work. I wonder if we've got any lads watching the programme who are mechanics, or you work in some sort of engineering. Did you find it was easier learning the engineering job or mechanic job, whatever, car mechanics or whatever? Did you find you learnt more on the job, okay, fixing the cars with your hands, rather than picking up the latest book and oh right, how do we do that? You know, I mean, I had a Haynes manual. They're very famous. They write books about cars. Haynes, Haynes, and they tell you how to service your car and all that, and you get pictures and what have you. And I had a couple of these books over the year. First of all, for my Triumph car, Triumph TC I had, my first car. And I also had one for my FSO Polonaise, which was the worst car I ever had. Oh, God, I had an FSO Polonaise. Look it up. It was the most unreliable car I ever... It was dreadful, and they never fixed it. Anyway, I had 2 manuals for this Haynes manuals. Oh, I couldn't work out what to do from the book. Couldn't work it out. I always remember once, me and my friend David, that's actually Martin, that's actually my sister's husband's brother, so I suppose he's my brother-in-law, David. And him and I, we decided to change the oil on my Triumph. And we had the book open and this, that, and we're reading, okay, right. Oh, it must be this plug under here. So I put a bowl under it, plastic bowl. I undone this plug and oil kind of trickled out into this bowl. And I looked at it and I thought, there's not much there. You know, we had this big sort of canister of oil waiting to go in. And I thought, it's only about half a bottle there. Half a milk bottle. So we went and got my friend round the corner, Tim. This is when I was in Roehampton. And he took one look, he says, "You pair of idiots, you've emptied the gearbox." Because there's two lots of oil in a car. There's the gearbox oil and there's the engine oil. And we'd emptied the gearbox, hadn't we? How stupid are we? And that was from reading a book. I cannot learn things from reading books. And the same with a computer. Don't know about you, but when it comes to learning a new program or something like that, and well, programs used to come with help books, didn't they? You'd get an entire sort of, what's the word, a manual with your computer. Now, and that was bad enough. Although I did pick up a couple of books now and again, and I'd go through them and learn little bits and pieces as I went along. But I found it very difficult. Now, they rarely even give you a manual. You get help files, don't you? You get help files on a CD. Is it me, or does anyone else have trouble ploughing through these help files? They're a nightmare, aren't they? Trying to actually find how to do something, how to carry out a task. And I find it very difficult to learn anything like that. With my audio editing program, I seem to, and also with the video editing program that I've now got, I learn as I go along. I can't read that, where it says, please read this first. I do read it, and it doesn't make any sense to me. With the audio program, I kind of got away with it. And then James Dean from matineeshow.co.uk, he came over on his first visit to me, and in the first 10 minutes of his visit to me, sitting in front of the computer with this audio editing program, I learnt more in that 10 minutes than I did for the entire time I had the program. Someone sat there and showed me. And it's so much easier. I find it so much easier when there's someone there to show you what to do. Don't you? There must be a big business there for people to do. So you get a new program, I don't know, whatever, for your computer. Word, even Word. Now take the program Word, for example. How many of the functions on there do you use? Indeed, how many of the functions on the Word program do you know about? I bet you don't know half of them, a quarter of them, a tenth of them. I certainly don't. And yet there's so much that program can do, I'm sure. It's a very, very powerful program. It must be for the blooming money it costs. It's not cheap. What you need is someone to come round. There's a business here there's definitely a business here for someone. You need to ring up someone who will come round and sit with you for a day or whatever, 8 hours, 4 hours a day, and learn about the program. I know there are courses in colleges to teach you all about some of these programs. Maybe I should go on a couple myself. But these things are just so complicated. So much to learn, and I just cannot learn it from a book. Other people can. I can't. Funny, isn't it? But that's what I say, as a child, they're all sitting now in front of computers now, learning things like that, instead of actually going out into the real world and going into that supermarket. And yeah, it's £10 please, and a child gives them the £10, the person gives them the change. If they're worth their sort, the person on the till will then count the money into the boy or girl's hand so that they know what's happening. That's how I would learn, through practical things. So, boys and girls, as a child, what did you have that the children of the day don't have? Let us know on the email, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Incidentally, talking of James Dean's matinee show, matineeshow.co.uk. A couple of people have mentioned to me they look for it on iTunes and they can't find it. Now, I don't know why, but James Dean Show, and I've spoken to him a couple of times about this, is extremely hard to find on iTunes. Now, the title of it on iTunes is The Matinee. All right? But even if you type that into the search on iTunes and you get your list of everything that says matinee, it's still extremely hard to find. So I don't know why that is. He doesn't. I don't think he's got it set up properly. So the best way to download and listen to The Matinee Show, which is a show featuring show tunes and a bit of chat with James Dean, Madam Aries, and usually one of his two celebrities, because he's only got two celebrities that he ever has on there. There's Scott Bruton, singer from the X Factor, and now, of course, he's moved way away from the X Factor now, and he's in a show called Dreamcoats and Petticoats, which is at the moment 2 in the country. Very talented young man. And also Nicky French, hugely popular, more so in America than here, represented the UK in the Eurovision Song Contest many, well, I say many years ago, it's only about 8 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago, I think. An all-round extremely bubbly, friendly, lovely person. And I believe she's in the show at the moment as well. She's understudy in something. I think I might have that wrong. Right, let me think now. I think she's understudy, so when... Is there some reason I think we're not allowed to mention the show she's in? I can't remember when, but anyway, nevertheless, he always has either of those two lovely people on. But you know, he goes on about knowing all these people. There's only two that he ever has on there. Well, and me, of course. Probably out of the three of us, I am the biggest celebrity, as you know. Eh? Perhaps. So trouble finding him on iTunes. You'll find me very, very easily on iTunes. All you've got to do is type in my name, Chris Reardon, and it will bring up both podcasts. So you'll get 3 entries from me. You'll get UnitedKingdomTalk.co.uk, the audio show, UnitedKingdomTalk.tv, the video show. They're both exactly the same, one with pictures, one without. And also Chris Reardon Music Mixes, which is my DJ music mixes, which are all music and no talk. Okay, going back then to the karaoke business at Belushi's, and Pretty Boy Steve recently lost his job, been made redundant. He's going to have trouble getting a job, not because he's can't do anything, but because that's just how it is at the moment. So many people losing their jobs all the time. They tell us that we are starting now to come out of the recession. Well, still people are losing their jobs, unfortunately, aren't they? And there's my little mate Ashley. Ashley, who comes in Belushi's as well, usually on a Saturday. He's been looking for a job for ages. He's 21 years old, just can't get a job. He had a bit of unluck the other day. He left the pub, he was rather drunk, and on his way home, unfortunately got jumped by 3 boys, jumped on him and said, "What have you got for us?" And unfortunately he had to hand over his mobile phone, lost his mobile phone. Now, luckily for him, recently I have upgraded my mobile phone to the Nokia. I've got a Nokia 58. Gadget lovers, I now have a Nokia 5800. Right, music thing it is. And it's so I've got the old Sanyo touchscreen one. So I said to him on Saturday, I said, "Pop down Monday." I said, "You can have my old phone." He was so pleased about that. And he came in Monday and he brought his mum to meet me as well. How nice is that? Little Ashley. Straight boy. But I was very touched on Saturday. And he says, "Chris, can I ask you a personal question?" I said, "Yeah, of course you can. What do you want to know?" He said, "Are you bi?" I said, "Do you mean fancy girls as well?" He said, "Yes." I said, "No, not anymore." I said, "I was married once." I said, "And then I don't know what happened. Something made me get on the other bus, and so that was it. I think it was always there, but that's the way." He said, "Oh, you don't mind me asking?" I said, "No, that's okay." I said, "Ash, if you ever want to ask anything at all, just ask me, and that's it." I think he looks at me as like a second dad, which I like that. I actually like that. It's a nice thing, that is. Nice thing. And he brought his mum in to meet me. He was a lovely lady. She looks just like him. Very small, lovely lady. I never found her name out, actually. So that was quite nice, meeting Ash and his mum. I gave him the phone and he was really pleased with that. So at least he's actually got a better phone now than he had before, I think. But there we are. So quite pleased to have helped someone out. And he hasn't got a job either. And he went all the way to Heathrow with his friend the other day because they'd heard there were some jobs there and they got there and the jobs had gone. No, so it's not through wanting trying. It's very difficult for people to get jobs. So there we are. I'm all the way back to Tom Harris, who made an appearance at Belushi's at our karaoke night and did indeed sing for me Chicago. Chicago, Chicago, da-da-da-da-da. And Tom and his friend, they stayed there till about 11:30 and then they left. So really, really nice man. Very nice to meet Tom Harris. All right then. Now we've got part 4 of The Elves of Iceland, written by Bob in Iceland, coming up in a couple of minutes' time, my darlings. All right. Meanwhile, do you know what? I thought I had a lot longer left, and I've only got 6 minutes. I've only got 6 minutes left. My God, where did that time go? I don't know how I do it. I really don't. It says, well, just looked down at my clock and I've only got 6 minutes left. That's awful, isn't it? So, all right, then, we'll do a couple of very quick emails here. And then we're going on to part 4 of The Elves of Iceland. First of all, let's say hello to Aidan. Hello, Aidan. And Aidan, he used to come along to a Sunday afternoon venue that I did about 15 years ago. Again, that was in Hammersmith, the Penny Farthing. It's closed now. And I used to do this thing on a Sunday afternoon where we played really old records. I mean, really old records like The Typewriter's Song and Durham Town by Roger Whittaker. I used to do a lot of chatting between the records, and he used to come there. And Aidan has found me on Facebook. Hello, Aidan. And he's been watching children's television, and he sent me a little message after the original, hello, how are you, it's nice to speak to you again. I haven't seen him for about 15 years. And he wrote, no wonder kids today have sex, do drugs and binge drink. I'm watching kiddie television at the moment and I'd rather be stoned while having sex and a pint handy afterwards. I know what you mean, Aidan. And, you know, that's one of those things that I think we as children had much, much better children's television than the rubbish that they have now. I mean, take, for example, those Teletubbies. It's just dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. What happened to Trumpton and Camberwick Green and the Pogles? Huh? Danger Mouse? Tom and Jerry? Great, great children's programmes. But you know, I watch some of the children's television and a lot of it's rubbish. If you want to watch children's, I mean, the stuff on the BBC, to be honest, isn't too bad. Although in the same breath, it was them that made the Teletubbies, which I hate. Just awful. Awful. Isn't it? Is it me? Is it me, boys and girls? So I think you're right there. That's why they're doing these things, because of the rubbish on the telly now. Thank you, Aidan. Nice to hear from you again. And also nice to hear from Chris Anderson, who we haven't heard from a while, who's back in touch. Hello, Chris. He says, Jerry is singing now, and she is fantastic. I'd like to hear that. He also says, you're so upful, even when you're not. What do you mean, even when I'm not upful? I don't know. I've never done this show while in deep depression, have I? I don't know. Thank you, Chris. Nice to hear from you and Jerry. Stay in contact. I'm glad to hear you're getting on all right now, or a little bit better than you were anyway. All right, boys and girls, here we go. It's time now for part 4 of The Elves of Iceland, written by Robert Pellis. The troll, that was Brownie, sat in his house at Upper Street in the town of Reading. He was a very happy chap, for he knew that soon his friend, his only friend, Gorgeous, would soon be knocking on his door. After having stopped off for some meat and tatties at the local store, Brownie looked at himself in the mirror and delighted in the reflection. The magic of the Thames River had worked its wonders, and now all but the most careful examination would show his troll heritage. His friend Gorgeous was not of troll race. No, he was a Herbert from the deep, deep Tiddy-Oggy mines on the Isle of Threadneedle. There was a knock on the door. Brownie said, "Who is it?" "Oh, it's yous, Gorgeous." Gorgeous says, "Oh yes, my lord, it is. I have just returned from checking our secret cache of gold, and it looks oh so pretty and sparkly." Brownie said, "Did anyone see or follow you after you moved it from the Ice Save cave?" Gorgeous said, "Nay, my lord, I was most careful. It will be safe under the shed in Bracknell. It was dangerous for the house. It was dangerous for the house is protected by a cat. And we know that cats are indeed the friends of elves." And there endeth part 4. It ended quite quickly, actually, because I've run out of time. I'm ever so sorry about that. I might have to do that part and the next one in the next show, okay, boys and girls? I do apologise. I didn't realise that I'd been speaking so long. So I might do that part and the next one in the next show. Thank you again to Robert for writing such a wonderful story, The Elves of Iceland. Part 5 coming up in the next exciting episode here of United Kingdom Talk. Thank you very, very much for watching or indeed listening to the show today. Do join in by email. My email address once again is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. From the sofa here in the Britannia studio, I'll see you soon. Myself, Chris here. Bye-bye.